evening, CCS community. It is President Adair, and I am calling the regular business meeting of the Columbus Board of Education to order on May 19th, 2020. Mr. Treasurer, will you please call the roll?
President Adair,
Present.
Ms. Beckerly,
Present.
Mr. Brown,
I'm here.
Mr. Cole,
Here.
Dr. Pierce,
Present.
Mr. Ragland,
Here.
Vice President Reyes.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. We will now have the Pledge of Allegiance from Chloe Abalaka from Beechcroft High School. Chloe?
Good evening. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much, Chloe. And CCS community, we actually are going to be going into executive session right away. We will have a motion from the Vice President.
Thank you, President Adair. I move that the Board of Education, per section 121.22 G4 of the Ohio Revised Code, to prepare for, conduct, or review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment, and per section 121.22 G1 of the Ohio Revised Code, to consider the appointment, employment, or compensation of public employees.
I second.
Please call the roll.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Dr. Pierce,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Vice President Reyes.
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you so much. We will return from executive session around 6:30 and join you back live on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you. We are back. We are reconvening the regular business meeting of the Columbus Board of Education. We have exited executive session and will now continue on with our meeting. The next item on the agenda is to actually review and adopt the agenda. So board members, we've actually completed 1 and 2, and we will, after this, look at board recognitions. We will take public comment. We have reports from our superintendent, internal auditor, and treasurer. There is one item under board matters. We also have a lengthy consent agenda. And then we will end with board announcements and adjournment. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Approve the agenda.
It's been a motion, a second. Please call roll.
I have the motion by Member Cole and a second by Dr. Pierce. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Beckerly,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Dr. Pierce,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Vice President Reyes,
Yes.
President Adair.
Yes.
That motion carried.
Thank you very much. We will move into board recognition. We have a recognition this evening for the Young Scholars Program, and I would like to turn it over to Dr. Thomas, who is Executive Director of the Young Scholars Program. And Ms. Phillips is with her as well, Program Coordinator. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you so much for having us. Good evening, President Adair, Vice President Reyes, members of the board, Treasurer Bohoric, Internal Auditor Smith, Director Smido, and Superintendent Dixon. Greetings on behalf of James L. Moore III, Vice Provost for the Office of Diversity Inclusion, and the Young Scholars Program staff. My name is Shayla Thomas, as mentioned before, and I have the honor of serving as the Executive Director for the Young Scholars Program. I'm joined today with my colleague, Trina Phillips, who serves as the Program Coordinator for Columbus. Despite the unprecedented impact of COVID-19, this is still a joyous time for the Young Scholars Program. This year, we're going to celebrate 88 students from across the state of Ohio who will graduate from high school and prepare for their transition to higher education. Thank you for allowing us to publicly congratulate our students with you this evening. Trina has a PowerPoint presentation that we're going to bring up at this time. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Young Scholars Program. So this year, Trina, in the city of Columbus, we had 24 young scholars graduate from Columbus City Schools. 20 of those young scholars are going to be attending Ohio State University in the fall. The Young Scholars Program awarded $1.2 million, just over $1.2 million over the next 4 years to support the students in pursuing their undergraduate education. The average scholarship award this year for our young scholars was just about $16,000 annually. And then our Young Scholars Program scholarship is going to meet 100% of the students' demonstrated financial need. And as I mentioned before, 88 students from across the state will be joining Ohio State as a Young Scholar. I'm also going to add one more piece of information. Trina and the Young Scholars Program, we just admitted 42 new young scholars who are currently 8th grade students pursuing the program. And so they will be a part of our 2020-2021 cohort. So congratulations to all those new young scholars coming to the program as well. Trina, if you want to present your graduating scholars.
Absolutely. We have Sarah Hashimi. She is a student at Columbus Alternative High School. She will be attending Ohio State University, majoring in pre-dental hygiene. We have Gilbert Ansu, who attended Columbus Downtown High School. He will be attending Ohio State University as well, majoring in radiological sciences. Alba Cabinas attends Columbus North International School. Her intended major is exploration, and she will be attending Otterbein University. Akira Cole attends Independence High School. She is valedictorian. She will be attending Ohio State University, majoring in molecular genetics. Lovelace Danso attends Fort Hays Arts Academic High School, and her intended major is pre-health sciences at Ohio State University. Harold Deanda attends Centennial High School. He will be attending Ohio State University, majoring in architecture. Tyleek Gore is a senior at Mifflin High School. He will be attending Ohio State University, majoring in pre-business administration. Davion Green Tucker, a senior at South High School, will major in psychology at Wittenberg University. Logan Hudson, senior at Linda McKinley STEM High School, majoring in pre-athletic training at Ohio State University. Tiana Joe, senior at South High School, will be majoring in exercise science at Columbus State Community College. Val Kapp, senior at Columbus Alternative High School, majoring in astronomy at Ohio State University. Ariba Khan, senior at Centennial High School, majoring in pre-industrial systems engineering at Ohio State University. Rabika Lohar, senior at Columbus Alternative High School, majoring in pre-neuroscience at Ohio State University. Brianna Mabry, senior at Whetstone High School, intended major biology pre-med at the University of Akron. Rebecca Mendez, senior at Centennial High School, will take a gap year and begin her intended major of psychology at Bowling Green State University in the fall of 2021. Tara Ozari, valedictorian at Northland High School, intended major pre-business administration at Ohio State University. Fario Osman, senior at Columbus Alternative High School, her intended major is exploration at Ohio State University. Roy Pace, senior at South High School, intended major biology at Ohio State University. Playon Patrick, senior at Fort Hays Arts and Academic High School, intended major, criminal justice at Ohio State University. Carlos Reyes Ocon, senior at Columbus Alternative High School, intended major, architecture at Ohio State University. Malik Sao, senior at Columbus Alternative High School, intended major, exploration at Ohio State University. Faith Scott, senior at Northland High School, intended major, pre-health professions at Ohio State University. And Raina Verda Mitchell, senior at Independence High School, intended major, exploration at Ohio State University. And that is the Young Scholars graduating senior class of 2020. Yay.
As Trina mentioned, we're very proud of these young scholars. We are excited to continue our partnership with Columbus City Schools, and we hope to induct many more scholars moving forward. We're excited about new 42 coming in, and the other over 100 who are currently in the pipeline to pursue Ohio State University in the upcoming years. Congratulations, young scholars. We're very proud of you.
Yes, congratulations, Young Scholars, and thank you all in the Young Scholars program for continuing and loving our students. I know that this is a labor of love for you, and it shows. And every time that we graduate and send one of our students on to college, I know that your heart swells, and we are so proud of them. So thank you for your individual work and the work of your organization and all those involved in the program. Board members, are there any comments?
Yes, very quickly for me, Madam President. I just want to say congratulations to this entire class of 2020. This is such a point of pride for me, not just for my own child who's graduating as a valedictorian of Columbus North International School, but also so many of you who have run a marathon race, whether it was pre-K all the way through 12, or whether it was in our Young Scholars program, where you started off maybe as early as the 8th grade, picked up and worked yourselves to the bone so diligently to make it into these institutions of learning and set yourselves on path for what I think is going to be an awesome future. Thank you all for your perseverance, also for going through this COVID-19 piece. I know that some of us are not happy with how things have turned out and how things are planned to continue. But I can rest assured that if you have the fortitude to get through this situation, you most assuredly will get through what's going to be tougher as you move forward. So God bless you, and I'm so very proud of you.
Thank you, Board Member Cole. Any other comments? Seeing none, thank you so much. Thank you. We will move now into item 5, which is public comment. We do have an individual who will be speaking to us. Just a reminder that public comment, there's 4 minutes for each speaker, and the board may ask clarifying questions after. I will turn it over to Board Liaison, Misty Nichols, who should have the speaker on the phone. The name is Elliot T. Worth. He's an attorney. Topic: obtaining my client's high school transcripts and the issues we have been having while trying to obtain them. Board action: order from the board requiring the school to turn over the transcripts or the board turning them over themselves. Ms. Nichols.
President Adair, the speaker is on the line. Mr. Worth, you have 4 minutes. Go ahead and begin.
Thank you, Misty. And thank you, members of the school board, including President Adair, for hearing me out tonight, as well as my client who is here in my office with me. So when we do move to the questions portion, between myself and my client, I do believe we can answer any questions as necessary. I guess I would first just like to say my client went to Whetstone High School. He enrolled in 1985, graduated in 1987, has been trying to obtain his high school transcript for a job opportunity here in Findlay, Ohio. Joseph Candelario Gonzalez Jr. is my client's name. I believe you've been provided a copy of his birth certificate along with the letter that I sent to the school board, as well as the superintendent, Dr. Dixon. among the things that we've attempted to provide to the school would be his birth certificate, which show his mother's name and his date of birth, which would match that of the name that he was enrolled under, which is William Gonzalez Vargas II. His name was never actually legally changed to Vargas. He was born Joseph Candelario Gonzalez Jr., and that has always been his name. The reason for his different enrollment name is actually because his mother had remarried, had believed that her new husband was going to adopt my client. Regretfully, that just never legally happened. So there's nothing we could provide that would show that name change because it never was a legal name change. Have attempted to provide, we have his social security number, social security card. He actually has his diploma still at home. He's even mentioned that his picture is in the yearbook. So I can tell you that I've reviewed the revised code. I've tried to provide as much information as I can. I know that the revised code has now some implications as far as what needs to be provided to the school and what happens if that's not provided. Regretfully, this is a problem that hasn't happened here in 2020. This is a problem that happened in 1985 where a woman was allowed to enroll her son under what was not legally his name. He went through his entire school career from kindergarten all the way to his senior year of high school under a different name from a school standpoint. But my client's here. Like I said, he needs to get this transcript just so that he can get a job opportunity here in Findlay, which is a very good job opportunity here at Cooper Tire. So I guess I am struggling with, I don't know what more I can provide. And every person I've spoke to at the school, when they've been from administration, has been very polite and helpful. But then I end up getting a call from general counsel, which leads me on the merry-go-round of, here's what I've provided. What do you need? And I never get an answer as far as what the school needs for me to turn it over. Last thing I would note is we did offer to sign a liability waiver where I would accept any liability for the school because I certainly understand the school's concern, but I just don't have any other way of providing it. I've provided an affidavit from his mother, the birth certificate, and all other relevant information that I could think of. So again, guidance from the school here at this time. We've tried everything we can. I just asked the school board to turn over the transcript, or in the event they won't do it, to at least order the school itself to turn over the transcript to my client. Like I said, I appreciate any questions you might have. We are happy and hoping to resolve this issue quickly. Tonight would be great, but obviously I understand the school's concerns, but this is the sooner the better because we have a job opportunity here where my client needs to be able to make a living for himself. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Attorney Worth. I'm actually going to, before asking for questions, go ahead and turn it over to General Counsel Barnes, if you would like to say anything.
No, I appreciate that. I did speak with Attorney Burns, I believe it was about a week ago. Actually, it might have been about 10 days ago now that I think about it, attempting to provide that information and have a conversation as far as what information would be needed. I have not heard back since, so I'm still awaiting any communication from the school through their general counsel, through the school board, through the superintendent, anyone who will talk to me, just to tell me what information might be needed.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Worth. And I did speak with Mr. Worth maybe 7 or so days ago. And as we discussed, I indicated to you, Mr. Worth, that the district was continuing to review your request because there were some still issues and committed to responding to you by the date certain set forth in your letter. And the district is still committed to doing that and will provide you with its determination prior to that date.
And what was the date?
The date was 21 days from April 27th. So I believe that would be this week that we would be due that answer, correct?
Yes, I haven't counted the days, but yeah, that's that. You'll get your answer within the time set forth in your letter.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. Are there any questions from board members? I see no questions. So Mr. Worth and your client, Mr. Barnes, will be in touch with you within the time frame as stated by your communication. And we certainly do wish your client luck in obtaining his job.
Okay, yeah, it's not a matter of luck, but I appreciate that. I take it the board is taking no action, correct?
No, the board will not be taking action this evening. We will work through our general counsel and certainly continue to communicate with us if you need to.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I just wanted to confirm. I didn't want to hang on the phone if we were going to get some sort of action. So thank you.
Thank you so much. That concludes our public comment for the evening. I will now turn it over to the superintendent to begin her executive report.
Thank you, President Adair, and good evening to our members of the board. I would like to invite our student ambassadors up for their biweekly report to the board. So tonight I would invite Faith and Sierra. They're coming from Eastmoor Academy, so they would come up and introduce themselves, and then it will be followed by Ajane Rogers from Mifflin High School. So again, to our public, every board meeting, we have our student ambassadors to report out to the board. Recently, they have been reporting out on online learning in their high schools and how their student body, their students and their schools are dealing with COVID-19 and still learning online and other activities that they are doing. So I'll turn it over to Faith and Sierra.
Good evening, President Adair, Vice President Reyes, members of the board, Madam Auditor, Treasurer Bohoric, and Superintendent Dr. Dixon. My name is Faith Vonderant, and I'm also here with Sierra Lane, and we present to you Eastmoor Academy. We are seniors at Eastmoor Academy High School. Eastmoor Academy students are rigorously educated in a nurturing environment prepared for a lifetime of learning, leadership, and service, and empowered to be responsible citizens of the world.
Academics at Eastmoor Academy. Eastmoor Academy is known for its outstanding academics along with our biomed program. Eastmoor also offers advanced placement and advanced classes for students, including humanities and more.
Eastmoor Academy's biomedical program. Usually, every year, our biomed students visit The Ohio State University, and we participate in lots of simulations, and we tour through multiple labs. In this picture shown, we have our biomed students with cardiologist Dr. Capers. The biomed program was created for students who may be interested in pursuing a medical career, such as becoming doctors, nurses, and even engineers and more. While we are in a pandemic, these careers could definitely play a huge role in addressing COVID-19.
The Coca-Cola Scholars Program Scholarship is an achievement based on scholarship awards to graduating high school seniors. Seniors are recognized for their capabilities to learn and serve, as well as their commitment to making a significant impact on schools and communities. In the photo is Rayvon Wheeler, who was a 2019 class graduate and was the Coca-Cola Scholarship recipient.
Eastmoor Academy students present at CCS Reimagine Conference. The Reimagine Conference was an event that was held to give professional development opportunities to teachers all across the district. Eastmoor students introduced national speakers as well as facilitated workshops for CCS staff. Activities at Eastmoor Academy. In the first photo, we have our Girls Lead 2 Club, who had a local artists come to the school and guide students while they created their own art. In the second photo, we have our Fit Club, who visited a nearby nursing care facility and danced with their residents to promote exercise and movement. In the last photo, we have our National Honor Society, who volunteer at the Convention Center with our principal, Mr. Morton, to help hand out goodie bags, and we also made samples to help support the hot chocolate run.
Extracurricular activities. At Eastmore Academy, we have plenty of extracurricular activities, which includes our sports team, and we also have an amazing theater program.
A closer look at our programs. Prior to COVID-19, here's something we truly miss doing. In the video shown, we have our Fit Club dancing and encouraging fitness and movement while uplifting their spirits.
How has COVID-19 affected students at Eastmore Academy?
COVID-19 definitely affected everyone, and everyone had to make adjustments. After these adjustments were made, my virtual experience has been pretty good. Whenever I've needed any assistance, my teachers have tried their hardest to reach out to me and help me in every way possible. They have set up one-on-one Zoom sessions, and they are even reaching out to our parents to stay in touch. Although this is not how we anticipated to end our senior year, it has caused me to find new ways to stay motivated. How has COVID-19 affected you, Sierra?
Online learning has affected me in many ways. In my opinion, it is less effective as in-class learning because I'm a more hands-on and in-person learner. Although throughout the online learning process, the teachers have been very helpful in answering any questions I have. The teachers are also reaching out to remind and even offering Zoom calls for students to be able to ask questions and to keep updated.
How have our online assignments looked? Here are some assignments from my theater class, which is taught by my teacher and theater director, Mr. Harms. Shown here are playbill booklets, which were created by students by using photo editors and more. Our online assignments in this class have been very creative and fun.
Due to COVID-19, our senior year ended abruptly. We didn't get to enjoy a few senior activities such as prom and graduation, and it saddens us all as a class, but we are making the best out of our situation. To close out, we are going to show a video of our staff reaching out to cheer us up during COVID-19.
Thank you.
Wow. Move on. Any comments? I'm sorry.
We'll do it after both.
Okay, thank you. So thank you again, Faith and Sierra. So next we have Anjanae Rogers from Mifflin High School. Anjanae, are you ready?
I am, thank you. Okay. Please excuse me one moment. It's not letting me share the screen.
Well, maybe as she's working on that, maybe we can come back to comments for Eastmore. Oh, there she goes.
Is everyone able to see the screen?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Good evening, President Adair, Vice President Reyes, members of the board, Madam Auditor, Treasurer Bahoric, and Superintendent Dr. Dixon. I am the Senior Ambassador representing Mifflin High School. And as you can see on the screen, this is our class of 2020. Before COVID-19 changed the way we operate, Mifflin had been using the blended learning model of instruction for 2 years. Blended learning is a combination of in-class and online teaching that supports students' education without completely replacing it with technology. We are also the only CCS high school that has one-to-one technology for our students. The staff's vision for the students to compete academically with their peers within and outside of the district, as well as prepare them for college and work life, has been a catalyst for allocating school resources such as Chromebooks and professional development to make this a reality at our school. We also have credentialing programs for business and construction. These programs are available to us because we have won multiple grants from the Ohio Department of Education. But things are different now. Just like many other schools, we have switched to full online instruction. Teachers are screencasting our lessons and posting them along with other notes and assignments to Google Classroom. Teachers have also provided office hours to support any questions or concerns that students may have. Weekly Zoom meetings have been a nice way to keep in touch while making sure everyone gets any information from any announcements that are made. These changes have allowed us to become more acquainted with technology. Our teachers have even started pre-recording lessons for this next academic year. They're prepared for anything. All of our changes have also become good college prep for the students. They're learning how to better manage their time and have become more accountable for all of their responsibilities. Before the virus caused all the schools to close down, Mifflin had many wonderful celebrations within the building. Our International Day celebrates all the cultures and traditions that our students have at our school, because our students come from all over the globe. We have many community service projects that include recycling, clothing drives, reading buddies, and much more. Community members and our own Mifflin alumni are always happy to support our Career Day. It is a great way for students to get any information they need to pursue their future goals. Our Peace Day is a time where we promote kindness and nonviolence. We also make sure to take a moment to remember those we may have lost to violence. Our Health Week includes many classes on different styles of dance, yoga, nutrition, and financial literacy. All of these classes help our students develop healthy lifestyle habits in a fun way. And we may not be able to have any of these events in the building anymore, but that doesn't mean we can't celebrate them all online and make sure we all stay connected. We have Twitter and Instagram pages where all announcements are posted. From senior shoutouts and honor roll listings to talent showcasing in games like Meet Your Teacher, Mifflin is using technology to successfully stay connected and stay united. Our staff has also made a video for all of the students to support us during these difficult times. If you would like to see the rest of that video, it is posted on YouTube. Our staff also made a second video to specifically encourage our senior class this year.
it's only day. Soon this will be the good old days. All the love we won't forget.
That video is also posted on YouTube if you would like to see the rest of it. Even though 2020 has presented us with many obstacles, Mifflin High School has stayed strong and handled everything with diligence and compassion towards all the students and the staff. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me today, and this concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much. Are there any comments from the board? Board Member Ragland.
Thank you, President Adair, and special heartfelt thanks to the leadership and staff of both schools, Mr. Morton, Ms. Mills, Ms. Fowler over at Eastmoor, and the entire faculty and staff of both schools. You all have done just a fantastic job of working with our young people this year and before, and we're just so very proud of you. Special shout out to the class of 2020 at EA and Nia Ragland, my own daughter. I'm very, very proud of her, and every student has done just a fantastic job tonight. Thank you so much for bringing these presentations to us. You all keep your heads up and keep moving forward. Thank you, President Adair.
Thank you, Board Member Reagan. Dr. Pierce.
I just want to take a second to just give huge kudos to all of our students that have presented. Dr. Dixon, this is a testament to how we integrate technology into our curriculum. Having our seniors come and present about what their schools are doing. Did y'all notice the videos? Our babies are embedding videos into their presentations. We using Sway. So we're not just using your regular PowerPoint presentations. We're using some Google tools as well and bringing it to bear on these great projects. So I just want to thank again all of our students that have presented, Dr. Dixon and her team, Chief Gillison and her team for providing our students with this opportunity to highlight the excellence within our district.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pierce. Seeing no other comments, thank you again, student ambassadors. It's just wonderful. I got a little teared up there during that Mifflin one. So I will turn it back over to you, Dr. Dixon, to continue your report.
Okay, thank you. So thanks again to our student ambassadors. Tonight, for my report, I would like to discuss two key issues of great interest and an impact to Columbus City Schools class of 2020. One, which is our graduation plan. However, before I go into details regarding commencement, I would like to provide several key updates related to from my report from May 5th to the board. In a school year that's like no other, we have worked together to find solutions, ensuring that we meet our mission even under the most unique and challenging circumstances. Although during a pandemic health crisis, there may have been days when it was easy to forget our accomplishments. I want to remind us all of this. Our school community, students, teachers, and staff are indeed completing the school year on a high note, overcoming obstacles and meeting challenges. The last 2 months have reminded us that we're all in this together, and I want to review some of those high points. Technology. We've improved our capabilities so that virtual learning over the span of 2 months not only addresses barriers, but make it possible to successfully deliver our curriculum. We have provided a virtual learning plan, the CCS Online Academy, that incorporates an online platform, pre-K through 12, to ensure continuous learning in all subject areas with no additional costs incurred to the district. We offer professional development and guidance to teachers on using online platforms and supplemental virtual resources to augment the curriculum offered by the platforms. We've delivered more than 19,000 computers to 17,000 households, which represents 30,000 students. Additionally, 1,600 hotspots provided internet access for families who needed assistance with internet access. We know nearly 70% of our students have logged onto Clever platform for remote learning, and many more students are utilizing other individual platforms to access important learning resources. These improvements are some of just the very few steps toward building a robust technology infrastructure, including internet access. However, we have much work to do. Our goal is to equip students, teachers, and classrooms with additional 21st century devices and expand internet access to support the goal of a one-to-one learning environment during the school day and beyond school hours. This is my priority, and I know it's the board's priority. We have also begun a virtual learning task force to create a long-term plan for what online learning looks like in Columbus City schools. This task force will create 1-year, 3-year, and 5-year plans for the district. But as you know, virtual learning will most likely play a key role this fall. I will be providing regular updates to the board and the community on this most critical strategy. I will be asking our civic, community, and business leaderships for their help, expertise, and partnership as we determine how we implement our future virtual learning and internet access landscape. In addition to ramping up online learning, providing additional resources that families depend on as a part of the school day is always a top priority, perhaps even more so during a pandemic. I want to highlight two specific efforts underway that literally and figuratively feed our students' bodies and minds. It is an important reminder of all the ways Columbus City Schools with its partners provides for the needs of our families to support our students' ability to learn and thrive. At our 15 grab-and-go meal sites, where students and parents can pick up free nutritional breakfasts and lunches each weekday for any children 18 years old and under, more than 264,000 meals have been provided since school buildings were closed under our governor's orders. I'd like to thank the CCS food service staff for their outstanding work. They continue to demonstrate that they are indeed essential employees. Children's Hunger Alliance has been an invaluable partner in helping provide meals for our students, as has our partners at the Mid-Ohio Food Collective and Columbus Recreation and Parks, who've extended the mobile free produce market at our food sites throughout May. Feeding our students' hungry minds also include their emotional health. Recognizing the power of artistic expression to reduce stress and connect creative minds, Columbus City Schools has partnered with Columbus Artists, a local gallery owner and a respected art therapist, to encourage students to Color Me Columbus. More than 1,500 copies of the Color Me Columbus art activity book featuring the works of 12 local artists and encouraging students to recreate images using their artistic design were handed out to our children who visited the grab-and-go food sites this past week. The art activities can help reduce stress and provide increased coping skills. I'd like to report this evening that I have provided written testimony to the Senate Finance Committee regarding the topic of reopening schools for the 2020-21 school year and the financial challenges we face in doing so to properly follow CDC, state, and local recommendations for social distancing to protect our students, staff, and teachers. I shared with the Senate committee the extensive budgetary challenges that exist in operating a district of our size and scope in the best of times, let alone during a COVID crisis. It is important for state legislators to understand the enormity of the task at hand. Uncertainty is the greatest factor we currently face and what keeps me up at night. Uncertainty of what our revenues may be as the state discusses future further reductions. Uncertainty of what our expenses may be in order to bring students back safely. I will not go into all the details this evening, as this will require additional planning and extensive board discussions, but additional costs will be needed for face masks, hand sanitizers, increased cleaning, transportation, and education delivery to achieve social distancing in our buildings. I will continue to engage with legislative, business, and community leaders for assistance as we develop and implement our plan for the fall. There is only one certainty, and that is next school year will not be the same. You will receive frequent updates from me regarding this funding challenge and requests for your advice and counsel. Now I'd like to turn to two issues specifically pertaining to the class of 2020. First, I would like to ask the board tonight to approve my recommendation to waive the $70 senior fee for the class of 2020. This recommendation is aimed at preventing an additional burden to seniors and their families who are already enduring a stressful end to the academic year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And I know, based on my discussions with members of the board, it is clear that it is important to each of you to provide assistance to families in this way. I know your support of this recommendation would be very much appreciated. Please note that this waiver does not include other related fees that may have been incurred. Families who've already paid senior fees will receive additional information on how to obtain a refund, which will also be posted on our website. The question of what are we doing for graduation ceremonies continues to be on all of our minds. Since we closed schools on March 16th, patience, partnership, and planning marked the way forward to determine how to honor our students in the class of 2020. Our senior task force, which was led by area superintendents and high school principals, dedicated a tremendous amount of time and effort to explore the options. We listened closely to the desire of students and parents to make graduation special. This difficult but vitally important task to identify the type of graduation ceremony for seniors has always been about balancing the safety of our students, their families, our staff, and our community with our desire to appropriately celebrate graduation. Several key factors facilitated our decision-making. First, we listened to the public health officials seeking guidance from Columbus Public Health Commissioner, Dr. Mashika Roberts, and her staff to determine the safest path forward. Under no circumstances will we jeopardize the health and safety of our students, families, and staff. Second, we worked diligently to make a thoughtful, collaborative, and consensus-driven decision. I have appreciated the wisdom and counsel of board members during these discussions. Third, we want to do all we can to honor and celebrate the academic careers of the class of 2020 while keeping the safety of our community at the forefront. As of May 18th, the number of COVID-19 cases in Franklin County was 4,574, with 177 deaths. Unfortunately, it follows that in a district of 50,000 students, a majority of those cases would be within the boundaries of our Columbus City's school families. The COVID-19 pandemic reflected in the number of cases and loss of life will continue to drive a safety first approach in all of our decision making. So as a result of all the information at hand, Columbus City Schools will hold a virtual only graduation ceremonies for the class of 2020. I know for many seniors that is not, and families, this is not what you wanted to hear, and this news is difficult. As a former high school principal, I understand how important it is to see the seniors walk across the stage and receive those hugs and just the whispers of thank you and I appreciate you getting me through. That will be missed, and I understand that. I understand that you wanted this experience just like many of us have experienced that. But please hear me that your safety and the safety of your family has to be my first priority. I have to make sure that over 2,000 of my graduates are safe and their families are safe from this horrible, horrible COVID-19 disease, this coronavirus. And this was a tough decision, and one of the toughest decisions that I've had to make in my career. But I know that it is the right decision for Columbus City Schools. We all must do our part to protect ourselves and protect our community. But we do understand that this lifetime achievement and how important it is to all of our seniors. So there are some elements that I want, some positive elements that I want to talk about that we've considered in ways that we can celebrate all 2,200 of our seniors. Each high school virtual graduation ceremony and watch parties will be held during the week of June 22nd through June 27th. We will also stream virtual completer ceremonies for Career Tech students at Columbus Downtown High School and the Fort Hays Career Center. Each high school ceremony will be streamed on the Columbus City Schools Facebook page and YouTube channel and aired on the Columbus Education Access channel and also simulcast on WCBE 90.5 FM. Our high schools will have a special commencement speaker of a national renown. Short remarks from me, their principal, and each school's valedictorian or their chosen student speaker. We want the class of 2020, their friends, family, and the Columbus community to join in the celebration of our graduates. We encourage everyone to share their photos, words of encouragement, and any congratulatory message on social media using the hashtag CCSGrad2020. Seniors will be receiving information from their principals about when and how to pick up their caps and gowns from their respective high schools. Continuing our safety first plan, social distancing must be strictly enforced during this process. The excitement for senior is building this week with the number of virtual activities taking place. Columbus City Council and Mayor Ginther have joined in with creative ways to honor our seniors. At its meeting last night, City Council announced, in partnership with Columbus Youth Council and community partners, a series of social media, radio, and billboard shout-outs that have been planned for the class of 2020 as a part of City Council's 2020 graduation week. A virtual prom will wrap up the activities this Saturday, May 23rd, from 7 p.m. to midnight. The virtual prom will feature Radio 1's DJs, local and national celebrities, youth council members, and most importantly, the class of 2020. The event will be streamed live by Power 107.5 on Instagram and Facebook. In the coming days, our students will hear from their principals on what they need to do to prepare for virtual graduation ceremony. More details on our graduation plan and graduation week activities can be found on the district website. And like each of our board members, I think we turn back. Like each of our board members, I am proud of our seniors and their accomplishments. With the help of their teachers and the principals, I know that they will persevere and navigate through this, just as they have been doing since this unprecedented crisis. In my first year as superintendent, I have never wavered on the vision and the focus on the long-term health and sustainability of the district and the academic improvement of our achievements of our students. From our community partners, our individual associations, this still remains strong. And as we close out the final week of this school year, and we look to the new school year, I am optimistic and confident that we will demonstrate not just our own words, but our actions, that we're all in this together. So the class of 2020, again, I'm proud of you. I am proud of all the students who represent you, those senior ambassadors. Thank you to the city and city council for joining and celebrating our students. From your superintendent, I love you. You have my full support. And this is not the way that I wanted to end the year, celebrating you. But again, your health and the health of your families and the health of our staff and their families is important to me. And this is why I had to make this difficult decision. And we're moving to a virtual graduation. So with that, Madam President and the board, that ends my superintendent's report.
Thank you. I will open it up for comments, but I actually first, and this may be a little unconventional, but I would like Board Member Ragland and Cole to take off their board hat and speak maybe to the public as a parent of a senior about this decision and how you feel about it.
Thank you, Board President Adair, and thank you, Dr. Dixon. Difficult. Most definitely difficult, you know, and speaking with my daughter and everything that has gone on, obviously this was not the way that any of us wanted to see senior year go for the thousands of seniors all around the country on our own here in the city of Columbus. But, you know, I want to express to you, Dr. Dixon, and your team, just my gratitude for the work that you all have been doing. You all have gone through every single iteration possible in really weighing out everything that we could do, that we should do. And the one question that I asked to my colleagues, the one question I asked Dr. Dixon is, you know, can you guarantee that we would be able to keep every one of our family members and our staff members safe during something if we were to do something, outside or in person. And when the answer was no, I felt very strongly that Dr. Dixon and her team was making the right decision. And I support that. As a dad, it breaks my heart going through everything that we've gone through as a family. But safety of our community is first and foremost. And I support this decision. And you will have my back in everything that we want to do to honor our seniors every way that we can. So thank you, President.
Board Member Cole, did you want to say anything?
I'm sorry. I am rarely at a loss of words. I'm so very sorry to our graduating class of 2020. This was a very tough decision for me. I had a personal conversation with my daughter about it, and I know how upset she was throughout this process. Not only just in the process of waiting to find out when she would be graduating and what the protocols and procedures around that would be. So I thank you, Madam Superintendent and administration for presenting this to us this evening. I think this really just hit me like right now. This really hit me right now. I was so vehement in making sure that I wanted to protect families. I know that a significant population of our students are so-called minorities, and our families very seriously suffer with existing underlying health conditions, chronic illnesses, myself even suffering from one. And this puts us at tremendous danger. I'm sorry. I thank you, and thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Cole. Dr. Pierce.
So thank you, President Adair. Dr. Dixon, our CCS administrators and board members, I know that this was a decision that was not taken lightly. I know it took considerable thought, that you all reached out to community members, that you reached out to the Department of Health again to think of every way possible to celebrate our students. And while we feel the emotion, I don't want people to not be upset, to not be sad, to not be frustrated. We need to feel this emotion right now. Our babies have been feeling this way since they left their schools in March. And they need to see us as adults questioning the decision that we've made, and really being thoughtful and showing empathy at this moment. So to Board Member Cole, I wish you would turn your camera back on so people can see the tears that you're crying, not just for your daughter, but for our community. When we think about graduating from high school, all too often we dismiss it because we see college as this big thing. Oh, somebody's going to college and you'll graduate again, or there'll be another great occasion for you. For many of our families, this is the first step in breaking cycles. It's the first step in success and achievement, that I was given a precious gift and I got you through. I got you through kindergarten. I got you through your senior year. We persevered. We showed resilience. And so we have to acknowledge that this is high school graduation is special. And so for all of our seniors out there, this is tough. For all the parents out there who have seniors, I have a 5th grader myself who will be missing her 5th grade promotion, the last of the Pierce kids. Our babies need to see the emotions, but don't let those emotions overshadow the achievement. Our babies are getting degrees. Our babies today have shown that they can use technology, that they can adjust from a classroom environment to an online environment. And some of them have gone out and got jobs and are babysitting and are helping their families. So they're doing what they're supposed to do in and outside of the classroom. We have great students in our district. So don't let the emotion of this moment overshadow the greatness that our students have achieved, and not just this year, but the years that got them to this year, and the great successes that they will achieve after this year. Know that I, as a proud product of Columbus City School, feel your pain. I cry for you. I feel the frustration with you, but I also applaud you and I commend you for continuing to persevere.
Thank you, Dr. Pierce. I think we are now with Board Member Brown.
Thank you. I too know what a struggle it's been for Dr. Dixon, for the administrative staff, for her team, and for many, many others who have had the opportunity to participate in making this decision. I think that the decision is clearly the right one. It is incumbent upon us as a school district to put safety and health first. And unfortunately, that conflicts with the interest of many in having ceremonies and celebrations the way that they've been done in the past. We're moving into a new world. We're all going to have to make adjustments. I feel strongly about graduation, having had the opportunity to have my dad, then a school board member, hand me my diploma in 1971. I had the opportunity to hand diplomas as a school board member to several of my brothers and to both of our daughters. It is an emotional time. And yet, I'm confident that all of our seniors and that are graduating will have incredible stories out of experience of this year. I know it hurts now, and I know that it's not helpful to tell you, to tell our seniors that they'll look back and have a different perspective. But that's the reality. I commend Dr. Dixon and her team for making this very difficult decision. And Dr. Dixon, I want you to know that we have your back, and that we're going to do everything that we can to provide a good graduation experience to our seniors and their families. There will be celebrations. They will be different, but they're important, and they'll take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Brown. Board Member Beckerly.
I just want to say that I don't want to prolong this discussion, and I don't want to add to the, restating that how sad we are and how hard this is. But, I taught high school for 8 years, so I get how hard this was. And I know how hard this decision was, and I know how we worked on it. And, I'm proud of Dr. Dixon for making the decision. I'm proud of our seniors, and our hearts are breaking. But this is, we're role modeling how to make difficult decisions in difficult times, and I'm proud of us for that.
Thank you, Board Member Beckerly. So this was a tough decision, and as the board has stated, Dr. Dixon and her team took into account every option. They talked to health officials, and in that, it took time. And I know that I've heard it. Well, other districts are doing it. Well, we aren't other districts. And under the guidance of the health director and the impact of how many people could be affected led to reasons why we can't be like other districts. And so safety first. And you can be mad, you can be sad, as we all are. But in the end, like Dr. Pierce said, we're going to celebrate you, and we're going to do it because we're proud. And we're proud CCS, and we're a proud CCS community. And we will rally around these 2020 graduates and all of our students. Now, Dr. Dixon, I think that there was something missing in your report, because I think we have a website or something where people can get information about the announcement that you just made.
Yes. I think that website is, my apologies, I kind of got caught up in emotions. I think it's CCS. Oh, Scott, help me. What is that website, Scott Wortman? I don't have it. I think it's there it is. Thank you. CCS, oh, there you go. CCSOH.us/class of 2020 is the website. All the information is there. That whole page is dedicated to the class of 2020. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Board members, were there any other comments or questions about any other aspect of the superintendent's report this evening? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, Madam Superintendent. I will turn it over to the internal auditor, who I'm sure will not make us cry this evening.
Thank you. Thank you, President Adair, Vice President Reyes, and members of the board. I don't want to prolong the conversation, but I do also understand the heartache. I have a young cousin who was graduating, and we were planning a big family celebration. And we are resilient, and we will get through this. And it was definitely the right decision, given the underlying health concerns and the issues that our community faces. And Columbus is unique. We're the largest district in the state, and we just can't operate like a district that has not even the population of one of our high schools. So with that said, I will get back to my role as your internal auditor. The Audit and Accountability Committee met virtually last month, and it was a very informative meeting. We did not have any reports that had to be voted on for release, but we did have a couple of updates that I would like to update the board on and the listening audience. The first report that the committee heard was on the financial results of WCBE's radio station for the year ending June 30th of 2019. The auditor was very frank in his presentation. He acknowledged the situation regarding the unrecorded payables, and talked about, the additional steps that they had to take in order to do the audit. But in the end, the radio station did receive a unqualified opinion. The next report that we received regarding WCBE was from the Inspector General for the Corporation of Public Broadcasting.
And this report was done as, once again, a result of the fraudulent activity that took place regarding the radio station. This report was presented by Mr. Warner, and once again, he was very open and honest with what had happened. They took the recommendations that were made by the Inspector General to heart, and they acknowledged that there are some things that, you know, the radio station and the district could do better as far as oversight of the radio station and controls, as far as not having one person solely in control of a lot of the operations and of the finances. So both of those reports, if anyone wants to review them further, have been sent to the board. They are also both posted on WCBE's website. We also received 2 reports, which the board has already received. One by our Chief Information Officer, just giving the committee an update on some of the changes that have happened since her arrival and some of the things that have done that the district has done as far as distributing technology to our students and the hotspots and some of the things that she is working on in the future regarding cybersecurity and safeguarding the district information in this virtual reality that we find ourselves living in. We also received a report from our Director of Safety and Security talking about the continuity of operation plan that was implemented as a result of this COVID-19 situation that we find ourselves in. For the most part, even though no one could anticipate this, the committee thought that, you know, the plan was executed effectively, and for the most part, they were very happy with the report that they heard. Other than that, like I said, there were no reports that were suggested for approval, and I gave my report. And once again, because of this COVID-19 situation, a lot of the audits that I had planned to release when the school year started are going to have to be adjusted, and I will give another update to the committee at our June meeting, kind of, you know, letting them know what we were able to get accomplished, what's going to be pushed into 2021, and we're just trying to be flexible and nimble like every other department in this organization. So with that, Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much. Any questions for the internal auditor? Board Member Ragland.
Thank you, President Adair. Not a question, but I wanted to thank Auditor Smith for all that she's been doing and continuing the work in the Office of Internal Audit, for all that they have continued to do. As chair of the committee, along with Board Member Beckerly, this has been a learning experience for us, and just the operations and the magnitude of what they are doing on a day-to-day basis to ensure that this district functions in the manner that it does with excellence. It's been very, very refreshing to learn about it. The information that we received from the WCBE reports that we received, they're actionable items within those audits. And for those of you that have followed and tracked what has happened with that story, I suggest that you go back and look at what was found and look at how the district is going to improve from what was found and what was determined. So thank you, Auditor Smith, for the work that you continue to do. I'm not sure if Co-Chair Beckerly has anything to add to that, but she's doing an excellent job. Her team is doing a fantastic job, and we just want to keep them lifted up during this time. A lot of things had to get put on hold because of COVID-19, but that is not just us, that's everywhere. And so you all stay lifted up, and thanks for all the work that you're doing. Thank you, Madam President.
Board Member Beckerly, since you were just referenced as the co-chair.
I concur 150%. It's been a pleasure working with Ms. Smith and the team, and I look forward to continuing to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then I believe Dr. Pierce had a question.
Yes, Internal Auditor Smith. In your remarks, you indicated that WCBE received an unqualified opinion. Can you just briefly and precisely for our public state what that means, maybe what it consists of, or how we're going to move out of that?
Certainly, that's really, for some reason, that's just the way that we term the opinions that can be issued on reports. Unqualified is really is really the best opinion that your external auditors can give a entity over their financial reporting. If it were like an adverse opinion, that would indicate there was something that was so significant that the auditors either could not issue an opinion on the financials, or there was something that they disagreed with that was so significant that they could not come to a conclusion with management. An unqualified opinion is one that, okay, you presented your financial information to us. We did our procedures over those financials. We're talking in auditor language. We did the procedures over that information that you gave us, and the information is fairly stated. So our report is unqualified. It's not a bad thing, actually. It's one of the better opinions that you can receive. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. I just wanted our public to be able to understand and know that we as a district are moving towards accountability, transparency, with a vigor for fidelity when it comes to our radio station. So thank you.
Thank you for that question.
Thank you. Any additional questions? All right. Well, thank you, Madam Internal Auditor, for your report.
My
We will
pleasure.
now turn it over to the Treasurer, Treasurer Bohorik.
Thank you, President Adair, and board members. Tonight, my report is the monthly financial report for April. This report was presented to the Finance and Appropriations Committee last Wednesday on the 13th, and they reviewed the report and saw this presentation pretty much as is. There we go. Revenues year to date are down about 18 million, or 2%. Expenditures almost by a like amount, 2%. The resulting cash balance is very much on target at 377 million through the month of April. The highlights for a revenue, probably the biggest topic is state funding. The funding will continue to, for the next couple of months, will actually run a bit over plan, and that should bring this in around the 12 million under plan mark by the end of the year. However, as you've probably heard, we've received a reduction in our state aid of just over $9.1 million, 9.168 million to be a little more exact. That'll be deducted from our last three payments, beginning with this second payment this week in May, and then the following two payments in June. So overall, we should end up about 21 million under plan. And keep in mind that the 11.8 million is the treatment for these student wellness and success funds. That the assumption in the plan was a different treatment than what we ended up having to do with those funds. So all in all, the state funding is going to end up as we expected, except for that $9.1 million reduction. And I'll speak to some changes in the expenditure side relative to that state reduction in a moment. On the property tax allocation, this is the rollback payment that we receive from the state of Ohio. This is simply a timing variance, 15.8 million under for the month, but it will be resolved in May. We were we're going to be about 2.5 million for the end of the year on that, as we've received 16.8 million in May. So that will resolve itself next month. You can see here graphically, property taxes, they will end the year that 5 million under, state aid obviously running under, and then other revenues. As I break those down, you'll see that for now, property tax distorts that year-to-date relationship. Other revenues continue to run above plan, as we've discussed in the past. Main variances to look at. Again, property taxes, 5 million under plan year to date, and that'll finish the year like that. State aid, as I mentioned, will continue to run under plan. Property taxes will resolve themselves. So nothing here is, we've explained all those variances, and we know what to expect for the balance of the year at this point in time. On the expenditure side, personnel ended the month about 662,000 over plan for the month. And at this point, salary and wages are actually running over what our plan is. And benefits are under by about 2 million on a year-to-date basis. And in June, we're going to recode 11.8 million in eligible expenditures in personnel from the general fund over to the student wellness and success funds. And so this line item should end the year about 12 million under plan. And again, we've been talking about this all year, so that's not unexpected. Purchase services this month, actually, for the first time this year, it was over plan. It's been running under plan every month, but that was due to a single payment that was made in the month of April. That particular payment is usually made in 2 or 3 installments, if you will, and for whatever reason this year it was made in one, so it just threw off the timing issue. And so this purchase services are about 8.6 million under plan. We'll probably end up a little bit further under plan by the end of the year. Charter is kind of interesting. It's been running under plan, but it will be even more so because we've received information from the state that the charter deduction, as our state aid has been reduced, so will charter schools receive a reduction. Perhaps not in the same magnitude as many school districts received in their basic aid, but a reduction nonetheless. As I mentioned, while we were reduced about 9.2 million in state aid on the revenue side, the reduction in the deduction, if you can get that alliteration a little bit, our expenses will actually go down by 1.8 million in that category. So the net effect of the state reduction as a result of this pandemic to us will be about 7.4 million net impact on cash balance. And as I wrote to the board, that kind of a change is not sufficient in and of itself to cause me to want to recast our forecast. And I will say that Dr. Dixon said it best in terms of the uncertainties that we face. And for me, the most important thing that we're watching now is what's going to happen in FY21 and beyond. I think 20 will work itself out, but FY21 and beyond, and uncertainty is the key. And you know, information is what we need. We need to know what are those plans. What's going to happen to our property tax revenues come August, September, when the second half tax collections begin, and what's going to be the impact into calendar year 21 and perhaps beyond. I was on a seminar or webinar today about the economic impact of the pandemic, and some of the economists are beginning to believe that there may be a very long-term impact, and we may not. This have to do with interest rates, but we may see a long-term time before there's a recovery in interest rate. There may be other economic recoveries sooner than that, but they started talking about a 5 to 6 year type of period that would take interest rates to recover, which, you know, we just got through our forecast and we've been ramping up that other revenue increase or estimates for what those other revenue items are. And now we're in this situation where we could be faced with reduced interest rates on our revenue side. So Again, uncertainty is really the issue of the day, and the sooner we know things from the various agencies that provide revenue to us, the better. Just graphically, where we are pretty much on plan, really on personnel and charters, you can see, and they are under plan. And looking at other expenditures year to date, purchase services stands out amongst all of those categories. The variances here, personnel, certainly low variances at this point. Purchase services, still high in both magnitude and percent variance. As charters, I said, will continue to run under plan. And the rest are relatively small in terms of dollar amounts overall, and have not really changed in their direction through the month of April. So in summary, revenues are down year to date. Some of that will recover next month, as I said, with the timing of the property tax allocation. Expenditures running under plan year to date. All in all, we'll be able to weather the state reduction for this year. But again, it's what's coming down the pike for 21 and beyond. We're working hand in hand on the plans for next school year and trying to quantify that and measure what expenditure increases might be to see how that will balance out against reductions in revenues. So it's probably one of the most challenging and anxious times I've had in my 40-some year career in trying to look down the road and make some plans for the near-term future. I mean, it's one thing to have to look out 5 to 8 years like we do in the forecast and be able to deal with that uncertainty. But the uncertainty that we face that is just 2 and 3 months away is pretty monumental. So we're all struggling through that, but I'm sure we're all working together to find a way to plan our way through this. So that's the report for April. I guess one other shout out that I would like to give, and that is to my administrators and supervisory staff and the staff that works in my office. From day one of our closure, we very quickly moved into an alternate working schedule to be able to abide by the physical distancing requirements. We alternated weeks between accounts payable and payroll being in the office because our operation, and you think about, we have to continue to pay the bills. We have to continue to issue payroll, and that staff has been on board with that, working on site as needed and working from home as we are able. But all in all, kind of behind the scenes and very quietly, folks received their paychecks and the bills have been paid. We've been working on getting cash out of the buildings that, because of the abrupt closure, we couldn't collect in a normal fashion. We're working on, for one of the items that you talked about tonight, we have a plan for the refund of fees, for the senior fees and how those dollars will be returned to parents. I'm real proud of the work my staff has done, again, very quietly behind the scenes and quite frankly, very seamlessly to switch into a modified work schedule and continue to get the work done that is the work of our office. So shout out to them. And Madam President, that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Mr. Treasurer. Mr. Cole, would you like to say anything as Chair of the Finance Committee before I open it for board questions?
Yes, Madam President, thank you so much for the opportunity. Again, I want to thank Treasurer Bohoric, Mike McCammon, and the whole team for the outstanding work that they've been able to do. Leadership is something really important to me. It really is. And, Stan and I have had some very lighthearted conversation around exactly what that entails. And he's shown it in his forethinking. We constantly have conversations about tossing things around, bouncing stuff off of each other. And he's constantly thinking ahead about what to plan for, what to expect. Folks, many of us as now becoming middle-aged folk have had the opportunity to live through some crisis and see some things. I've certainly seen a lot in my day. I've not seen anything like this, that particularly from a fiduciary, a financially fiscal standpoint, put institutions and their livelihood, their sustainability in such question. I don't care if it was the Great Recession. I don't care about, none of this has ever put this school district, whether in my tenure as a board member or when I was watching for years prior to becoming a board member, put us in this kind of position. So I really want to stress to my colleagues and to those watching how very important it is for us to make the right choices for this school district moving forward, because inexactness is an understatement in trying to predict the budget. We had a big enough hurdle in that of a biennial budget. We had a big enough hurdle in just trying to figure out what we're going to find out very last minute in terms of what our appropriation is going to be in a biennial budget. Now we're in a situation where we have multiple variables attacking us from either corner. So again, I thank you for your leadership. I thank you for your hard work. And I look forward to continuing to work together to figure out this situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Cole. Board Member Brown.
Thank you. Just very briefly, I want to commend not only Stan, but his entire team for the really good work that's been done under very tough circumstances, including overseeing and staffing the millage committee, which itself did some really good work, and I know we'll be talking about that more in the future. But yeah, I do just want to pass along my thoughts about the quality of the work by everybody. I do have to mention, though, to Michael that you're talking about middle age and talking about all you've seen doesn't feel especially good to me. You're not making my day.
Thank you, Board Member Brown. Any other comments for the treasurer? Thank you, Stan and team. We do appreciate you. You know, we're glad you're on our team during this hard time. And I echo the sentiment of the board. So thank you for all your hard work. Okay, we will now go into board matters. Item 9.1 is a resolution to waive graduation fees for the class of 2020. I will ask for a motion, and then after the motion and second, I will ask Dr. Pierce to then present the resolution. So is there a motion?
So moved.
I move.
Vice President Reyes moved, or?
I second.
Okay. Reyes moves, Brown seconds. Dr. Pierce, I will turn it to you.
Thank you so much, Board President Adair. I think this is truly fitting given the announcement that we just made regarding graduations, providing our seniors with a gift by waiving their graduation fees for this class of 2020. So, whereas policy 6152, student fees, fines, and charges, permits charging students for graduation, and whereas the district currently charges students a graduation fee, also known as senior dues. And whereas the Director of Health's order under section 3701.13 of the revised code states, in regards, order to the closure of all K through 12 schools in the state of Ohio, issued on March 14th, 2020, was subsequently amended on April 20th, 2020, effectively closing all K-12 facilities through the remainder of the 2019-2020 academic year. And whereas these are uncertain times for our students and their families. And whereas in these times, traditional commencement ceremonies are not possible. And whereas the Columbus Board of Education wishes to provide for the social emotional health of our students by waiving expenses related to graduation. And whereas the care for the social emotional health of students is a valid public purpose. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Columbus Board of Education hereby waives the $70 graduation fee for all members of the class of 2020. And be it further resolved that the board directs the superintendent and treasurer to provide any necessary refunds for students and families who have already paid such fees.
Thank you, Dr. Pierce, and thank you for your effort in working on this resolution. Are there any comments about this motion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Dr. Pierce,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Vice President Reyes,
Yes.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Yes.
motion carried.
Thank you so much. We will now move into our consent agenda. The consent agenda, items can be removed from the consent agenda if there is a motion made by a board member. Any item need to be removed this evening, board member? Okay, seeing none. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Are there any discussions about items on the consent agenda? Dr. Pierce.
President Dare, I respectfully abstain from items 14.3, 14.4, and 16.3.
Thank you. Board Member Brown.
Thank you. Just want to speak very briefly. I intend to vote no on item 19.1, which pertains to WCBE, for the reasons that I stated at the Finance Committee meeting when the report was presented. I'm disappointed that we've not had the full report that we were expecting to have after the 1 year of study and research. And I'm concerned that we're not going to find a great use for the facility for the benefit of our students. And I have concerns about our remaining in the radio business if it's not for the benefit of our students. And while we watch audit after audit, I think I'm concerned about the cost of our continuing to be in the radio business when we should not be.
Point
That's
of order. Does that mean that this item needs to be pulled if he is going to vote no on one item? No. Okay, thank you
No.
for the clarification. Thank you, Board Member Brown. Board Member Beckerly, and then Vice President Ray.
I have the same comment about the WCBE item 19.1. I concur with our Board Member Brown, and I also would like to suggest that it's almost less about the money and more about the need to focus with laser-like precision on things that are going to advance our mission, which is to educate our children. And I think we can get distracted by some of these other things that don't seem to be furthering that goal.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes, Madam President, just very quickly.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm so sorry. Vice President Reyes, then, that's right, it's my fault. Board Member Cole, and then Dr. Pierce, I think I saw you. And Board Member Ragland.
Thank you. So Dr. Dixon, I don't know if you want to address this or if there's somebody on the line that can address this because I know there's been a lot of questions about item 12.1 for athletics. So I just don't want to kind of graze over it because I know there's been a lot of discussion about our athletes and the such. Could someone just kind of touch on the resolution for 12.1?
If I could speak to just the aspects that I know, and that is that.
Can we let the
Wait,
superintendent speak?
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
let's have that go
Fine.
through superintendent.
Or a member of her team?
Yeah. So 12.1, I don't have my agenda up. Let's go to.
It's the interscholastic athletics.
Okay, gotcha. Maurice Odom, is he on the line? Maurice, can you speak to that one, please? Unless Eric Roush can speak to it as well, either Maurice or Eric.
Yes, Dr. Dixon, I was going to defer to Eric Ruff, he's Ms. Arthur.
Okay. Dr. Roush. There you go. Thank you, Dr. Roush.
You're welcome. Good evening. Good evening, members of the board. The resolution before you this evening, essentially we have in policy a minimum GPA. That minimum GPA is a Board of Education decision. It is not a requirement of the Ohio High School Athletic Association. Since for Q4, we went primarily to a passing system of grading, acknowledging that yes, students may certainly have, the option of obtaining an A or a B as you took action at the last board meeting, but predominantly more than likely a passing system. Moving to the Ohio High School Athletic Association minimums for at least the fall sports for next year, where the only requirement is that they have to be passing the equivalent of 5 courses. So we're simply suspending the minimum GPA requirement for the fall athletic season. That gets us into the next year, and certainly if the board needs to revisit this going forward, we can do so at a later date. But we wanted to make sure we had certainty for those student athletes going into next school year.
Thank you, Dr. Roush. I just want to make sure that our student athletes are aware of that, and if they have any questions, to make sure that they call the district if there is any concerns.
I would reach out to the director of student activities or their athletic directors, coaches, and building principals.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Brown, did you have a comment to that subject?
Yes, I did. I think that this piece to suspend this minimum grade point for the fall makes sense, and that's all that this piece does. But in discussions, it makes sense and for us to look at winter and all of next year. And to do that fairly early. And I know the administration will be getting back to us with some dates that the board would need to consider whether to suspend for the rest of the school year. Beyond that, this item is now on the agenda for PRC, our Policy Review Committee, to take a harder look at this question going forward beyond next year, and to try to consider whether having a minimum grade point makes sense and what it should be. Athletics is important for many students, and participation is important, and yet academics is clearly very important. And how do we balance that will be the questions that we're looking at.
Thank you, Board Member Brown. Dr. Pierce, did you have something on this point?
I do, President Adair. Thank you so much for this opportunity to speak. I think we have, when we talk about this particular matter, we have 2 issues at hand. What Board Member Brown has just stated is that I have recommended or put before our Policy Review Committee to look at the entirety of the policy related to GPA requirements, based upon the fact that, for example, there are a variety of different districts that have differing GPA requirements. So, for example, Dublin has a 2.0, but Olentangy has a 1.5. So there is a need to look at that policy, and particular to this piece of legislation, 12.1, what concerns me is that we need to look beyond just fall semester. We will have students that potentially in the fall, if they have received an I this quarter, that will have to go back and restore that I. So for the beginning of the fall school year, you could have students taking their new classes for our upcoming academic year and still trying to restore I's from this academic year. That can cause a lot of stress and strain on students. Our student athletes also, most of the time, play more than one sport. So I think it would be very proactive on us as a board to also consider how this will affect winter sports as well, not just fall sports. Those GPAs will be compromised again because students will be working on coursework from this current quarter 4 that we're in, as well as quarter 1 of next year. That stress and strain can influence the GPA that they come out of quarter 1 with and impact their eligibility for their winter sport. Therefore, I would like to see this piece of legislation expanded beyond just fall sports.
Thank you, Dr. Pierce. I'm going to come back to, I see you, Board Member Ragland. Board Member Cole was first, but is it on this point or something different?
I have a thought relative to this point right here, but I definitely wanted to make a brief statement to 19.1 with WCBE.
Go ahead and do both right now.
All right. Very quickly to 12.1. I certainly understand the concerns and support them. What I want to definitely ensure is that we encourage in this school district scholar athletics. I want to be redundant. Scholar athletics, scholar athletes, youngsters who are maintaining an appropriate GPA that not only keeps them eligible to play sports, but puts them on a pathway to have a plan B with good grades. So I want to definitely just put that out as a value set. That is something that I was vehemently in support of when we looked at this policy several years back in my first year on the board, and we were going over this with Neola. So I definitely wanted to put that out there. To WCBE, I certainly agree with my two colleagues who shared their concerns about our lack of planned presentation with something thorough for the board to decide. What I will say, though, I'm encouraged by is that this COVID situation has done some unique things. It has put us in a position to be more thoughtful and studied about how we answer the question of integrating curriculum and the student experience, academic achievement with the operations of WCBE. That whether we hate it or appreciate it, even at the last part of its mission current, there is a statement about education. So I'd like to see that I'd like to give the administration the time to develop a vision that aligns these value sets around student achievement, around student pathway opportunities to professions, everything from journalism to radio operations to management, right? These are very viable opportunities for our youngsters. And now we're in a space to be able to reimagine that very seriously and connect the dots with technology to make it happen. I'll say this in closing, that we've taken the first step in making this alignment by celebrating our youngsters this year. I am really encouraged. I don't think that we've ever recorded. I know we record graduation ceremonies, but I don't know that we've ever broadcasted them on WCBE ever. I don't know that we've ever done that. Here, we have the opportunity to set a precedent, and I'm excited about that. So I'm a bit more appreciative in my inquiry than I am at this point cynical. And that is not a statement of being negative to my colleagues, because I support you. But I thank you very much.
Thank you, Board Member Cole. Board Member Ragland.
Thank you, Madam President. My first thought is around the athletics legislation. I do believe that it is time for us to really be innovative, particularly as it pertains to the fall. I had the pleasure of playing for the Mifflin Punchers when I was in high school, and there was an interesting dynamic for Mifflin High School back in the late 80s, early 90s. We would have two-a-days that started in the summer where we would have 60, 70 football players coming to practice. We'd come first thing in the morning, we'd leave for a couple of hours and then come back in the afternoon for our two-a-days. And then when the time came for us to go to games, we'd only have 20 or 30 players because a lot of those players hadn't made the grades, and it was figured out by the time that the season started that a lot of our players would not be eligible. And that really impacted what we could do competitively. And I always thought back then that one of the things that we could have been doing is in between the time where we have our morning practice and our afternoon practice, if some of those brothers needed some academic enrichment, to Dr. Pierce's point around catching up on what would be an I from this particular quarter, that they would have to do more work for in the fall, there was an opportunity where you had a captive audience for those young people right there in the school. If they had a bit more support and we had a concerted effort towards making sure that those young people were eligible, we would have them there and we could broaden our programming to make certain that the eligibility requirement was achieved. And I would like to see Dr. Clarino and our academic team come back to us with a plan that talks about utilizing the opportunities that we have to keep our students right now, not within our buildings, but utilizing our technology. And when we get back to some sense of normalcy, utilizing the opportunities that we have to provide a more narrow academic focus for each individual player so that we're addressing those needs and not leaving it to them. If we have them under our care and they're under the care of our coaches, then we need to complement that with some academic enrichment to ensure that we get to Board Member Cole's point of having scholar athletes on our team. And so as we broaden this discussion out, I would hope that Dr. Dixon and Dr. Clarino and that team would come back to us and say, well, hey, if we rethought this a little bit differently, here's the times where we have these students, here's what we could do academically if we had some more support. And let us know what that support looks like. If that needs resources, if it needs other things, then as a board, I think that's something that we should address, because Dr. Pierce makes a really good point that there are other districts where students are meeting a much lower threshold academically and still being eligible to play. But we want our students to get the best of what we can offer them. To the WCBE point, I have consistently tried my best to get on any type of task force to help with the creative thinking around the repurposing of WCBE. I have been asking for over a year now to have some inclusion around those ideas. As a graduate of Fort Hays High School, we used to think up and sit around and think up everything that we could do, having a radio station, having a radio and television apparatus within our school building. And I would like to at least be involved in some sort of planning for that so that we can get it done. I do not believe that we should be thinking about giving the radio station away or doing something with it. It is a very unique opportunity for us here in Columbus. If we reimagine what it is that we want to do with our own station, and we must include the input of the young people in doing that. The young people have to be at the table. They are the most creative thinkers that we have right now. They are an asset, and we must use them as such as we start talking about what we need to be doing looking into the future. And so I know Mr. Varner is preparing to come back to us with a more comprehensive plan. I would hope that a part of that would include some input from our youth and what that's going to look like. And I have some ideas as well. my last point for you, Board President Adair, I will need to abstain on several pieces of legislation tonight, literally 17.5 through 17.47. So every piece of legislation dealing with auxiliary services, I will need to abstain tonight. And so I hope that does not cause too much of a task for you and Mr. Bohoric. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, board members. I did want to mention that item 14.1, we are giving a diploma today. So I'd like to highlight that. Congratulations to Alyssa Nicole Wells, who is receiving a diploma for completion of the Ohio 22+ Adult High School Diploma Program. Congratulations to you, Ms. Wells. Okay. Dr. Pierce, one more thing.
This is the quickest point ever. I think we just came to a yes and when we were discussing, you know the term, when we were discussing 12.1 and 19.1. Dr. Dixon, I would like to officially request if your academic team could look at utilizing WCBE to help our, in particular, scholar athletes that may have to restore or recover eyes in between fall and winter sports. Specifically, what I have in mind is if we could have teachers offering class, instruction, makeup assignments using WCBE during that time when we first go back into the building. So in between their two-a-days, in between practices, like a district-wide study table. What would be the feasibility in doing that?
Vice President Reyes.
So, Dr. Pierce, I think that's something that we're going to talk with Chief Engagement Officer Alicia Gillison. So I just text, so actually you and I are on that committee. So all those ideas you've talked about, I've talked about, and I just actually text Board Member Ragland because we did get a lot of feedback. That's something that Chief Gillison and I talked and tried to do with kicking it with Columbus City Schools. So we are having that discussion. You and I firstly on Friday, and then hopefully we can bring everybody in from students to board members to everybody to help Dr. Dixon and the district with pushing the WCBE thing one way or the other.
That's awesome. Again, my request is specifically to address some of the issues our scholar athletes may be having. Right?
I think we're also going to tackle the whole thing about whether, you know, even getting to those people that are having problems connecting. What does that look like? So not just the athletes. This is about all students. We have to make sure that we look at everybody equally to ensure that the district is delivering what we can, and give Dr. Dixon and the administration all the ideas so that they can be informed from a community perspective.
Awesome. Thank you, Vice President Reyes, who is also the chair of the Public Engagement Committee. And did you say you have that meeting on Friday?
So we're just planning the agenda. Dr. Pierce and Chief Engagement Officer and I are planning the agenda, and then we're bringing everybody in.
Got it. Well, this is how we work. We do work through our committees, and so thank you both. And it seems that Board Member Ragland is part of that too, for working on that effort and providing ideas.
He is now.
Okay. Board Member Brown, I think you have a...
Yeah, just want to clarify very briefly, in terms of Dr. Pierce's request, I think that would be more properly termed a suggestion, because the decision about how to work with the students to help improve their grades and eligibility is really an administrative matter entirely. But it's a suggestion worth the consideration of administration.
Yes, thank you for that clarification. So what's going to happen, just to sum up this conversation, is that those ideas are going to two committees, really, because we may have some policy change that needs to come out, as Dr. Pierce had said earlier, and then the engagement side is going to go over to public engagement. And so those ideas will go through the work of our committees and then come up either through the board or directly to the superintendent, and the administration can ultimately make those decisions. Okay, I think we are now ready to actually vote on the consent agenda. Yes? Okay, will you please call the roll?
And let me just clarify as we get into this, make sure that I have this correctly. I have Mr. Brown going to vote no on 19.1. I have Dr. Pierce voting or abstaining on 14.3, 14.4, and 16.3. And I have Mr. Ragland abstaining on a range of items from 17.5 to 17.47, if I heard correctly. And with that,
Wait, yes, Board Member Beckerly, were you also voting no on 19.1?
Yes, I was.
okay, I missed that, my bad.
Quite all right.
With those exceptions, all right, I'm ready for roll call. Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Dr. Pierce,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes, with the exception of 17.5 through 17.47, from which I abstain.
thank you. Vice President Reyes,
Yes, I guess my space bar is not working.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Yes, with the exception of 19.1, for which I vote no.
and Mr. Brown.
Yes, as to everything except 19.1, on which I vote no, anticipating that that item will be passed. I simply pass along my hope that we can deal with that question as soon as possible and not wait a full another year. Thank you.
Dr. Pierce, did you want to state your own exception?
Yes. So I am voting yes on everything and abstaining from 14.3, 14.4, and 16.3.
And that motion carries, as so noted with the exceptions.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, we will now move into board announcements. Who has an announcement? Board Member Beckerly.
Okay, I'm going to call on Scott Wortman to share the screen. I have an inspiring COVID story to share. So I was delighted to be contacted by Michelle Brandt of Brandt Roberts Galleries. She wanted to have the art community do something to give back during this time of pandemic. And she was very intentional about it. So she came up with this idea of creating a coloring book for our students from the images of local artists. So if you can see from this image that's being shown right now, it's part coloring book, part image, and that image is one of the images of our local artists. So Mr. Wortman, if you could go to the next slide. So this coloring book consists of 12 pictures. Some of the images of the artist are here, and then pictures of the artist and their names, all of which have been generated as coloring book pages. And so Michelle was an incredibly effective person, and she joined forces with our community engagement department and Mr. Scott Bonner in particular, and they really ran with this project. So if you could go to the next page, Scott, we can see. So here are some examples of the coloring book images. So what we did was, you can go to the next one too, what they did actually is that they put together, Michelle put together, and Scott helped facilitate the distribution of, Scott Varner helped the distribution of these coloring books to our 1,500 of them were printed and distributed to our 15 food distribution sites last Tuesday. All right, if you can go to the next picture. Okay, so Michelle is the person on the far right with the pink skirt, and so she's really the one who spearheaded it all. Next to her is Joan Zeller, who is an art therapist and a social worker who was a significant supporter and contributor to the project. And she shared that the process of generating art reduces stress, increases coping skills, and increases societal functioning. So the creativity associated with these coloring book images are very therapeutic for our students as well. And then most exciting, on the far left is one of our artists, Jeremy Rosario. So he was there the day we distributed these coloring books, and we're at Sherwood Middle School there. So this was a really uplifting, fun moment in the midst of all of the struggles with the pandemic, and the children and their families were so appreciative. It was really fun to see, and I am told there is not a coloring book to be had, so we have distributed them all. Scott, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. Then just a shout out to some of our community partners who are helping at the community table. So every one of our food distribution sites has a community partner table, or a community table being manned by some of our community partners who are handing out different things in conjunction with the meals. So today it was coloring books, sometimes it's hygiene products, and this is a volunteer from, I want to say Homework All Stars. Now I don't know if I have that right. After School All Stars, that's the organization. And they have been a strong partner with us in giving out the additional things at our community tables at our food distribution sites. Okay, last one, Scott. And here is the shout out to our food service staff there at Sherwood. They were wonderful and so appreciative and happy to be there. And when I thank them for, truly risking their health in order to distribute the food to a person, they responded, "This is our community and this is what we do." So it was a very inspiring morning, to say the least. I would like to thank in particular Joan Zeller, whom I mentioned, Rich Lillash, Kathy Lillash, and Julie Rogers of Our Design and Printing. They were the printer who generated the coloring books. Scott Varner of our community engagement programs. He was a tremendous help, and Maria Roddy. The artists were Laura Alexander, Lane Bachman, Christopher Burke, Amanda Cook, Grant Gilsdorf, Joey Monsoon, Brian Moss, Ashley Pierce, Jeremy Rosario, Elsie Sanchez, Natalia Sanchez, and April Tsunami. So all of their images are on the back. And one more thing, Michelle Brandt was very intentional in choosing local artists. She didn't want to pick a Picasso or a Rembrandt that was on the walls of the Met. She wanted local artists and their images to be used in this coloring book, which was a very exciting thing to make it seem more careers in art seem more accessible to our students, and also to set us up for maybe some future collaboration. And finally, the art galleries that contributed to this were Brant Roberts Gallery, Hammond Harkins Galleries, Kenny Gallery, Lindsay Gallery, Sharon Weiss Gallery, and Sherry Gallery. So once again, this was a very happy moment, and we are grateful to everyone who put this project together. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Board Member Beckerly. Any other announcements? Board Member Brown.
Yes, thank you. I simply wanted to acknowledge passing this morning of Annie Glenn. Annie was just 100 years old in February, and she passed away this morning. Her husband, as you all know, rocketed to fame as one of America's finest pilots and astronauts. But Annie herself was also an American hero, a trailblazer for women and people with disabilities. She overcame obstacles that would have silenced most and became an inspiration for millions across the country, all while raising a family and living in a spotlight she never sought. Annie stuttered for most of her life. Eventually, with good help, she overcame the condition and thereafter was a strong advocate for the disabled, especially those with communication issues. Annie Glenn was a friend to many, including me and Marilyn. She was a warm and gracious lady, and she is widely considered among the greatest and most beloved Ohioans. I think that I wanted to bring that to the board and in her memory, observe a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Brown, and for being our board historian. It is always nice for you to bring touches. I'm not kidding. It's
Yeah.
nice to educate and to bring these things to light. So thank you for that.
Thank
Are
you.
there any other announcements? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to
So
adjourn.
moved.
Oh,
Second.
wait a minute.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry.
Hold for a second. I'm checking on something real quick. Is Dr.
Okay.
Roush still available?
He's still here.
There he is. Did you get my text?
I just saw it.
Got a
Probably the
suggestion?
motion to reconsider
Oh, good
and
Lord.
then
And
do
then
it
start
again.
Over again?
And you start over again. That's probably that's what comes to mind on that one.
Okay. Let the record show that we're going to blame, can we blame this on Dr. Tina Pierce?
This on Dr. Tina Pierce. I take all responsibility.
Dr. Pierce needs to abstain from another item. And then to do this correctly, we need a motion to reconsider. And if that passes, then that item is before us again. And then we redo the roll call, this time with the proper abstention on her part.
Motion
I
to,
thought I heard her abstain as we did it the first time.
motion to reconsider the voting on the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Call the roll.
Dr. Pierce. Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
Vice President Reyes,
Yes.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
and Mr. Cole.
Yes.
Okay, the item 10.1, the consent agenda is now before you again for a vote. Could I have a,
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Okay, will you call the roll?
all right, I'll call the roll, and this time I've already noted all your previous nay votes and exceptions. And Dr. Pierce, we are adding which one for you this time? 16.4? Okay, I'll note that. Thank you. Mr. Ragland,
Yes, with the exception of 17.5 through 17.47, from which I abstain.
thank you. Vice President Reyes,
Yes.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Yes, with the exception of 19.1, for which I vote no.
Mr. Brown,
Yes, with the exception of 19.1, for which
Mr.
I
Cole.
vote no.
Thank you. Mr. Cole
Yes.
and Dr. Pierce.
Yes, with the exception of 14.3, 14.4, 16.3 and 16.4 with abstain.
And with that, President Adair, that motion carried.
All right, and thank you too for that catch. We want to make sure everything is perfect. So we appreciate
Now
that.
I
Now-
move for adjournment.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Vice President Reyes,
Yes.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Dr. Pierce,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
and that motion carried.
Thank you all.
Thank you all. Have a good night and
Good night.
check out the
Miss
website,
seeing
graduates.
everyone.
God bless you all. Stay healthy.
Hey, we love you, class of 2020. We love you.
Yes, we do.
For sure.